If we were to take this journey like a map, then we're coming toward the end of it. And these instructions that we're receiving from Rupa Goswami and Srila Prabhupada and Rupa Goswami and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are like part of the destination where we're still headed. It's not that we've reached these goals, but still, it's a good thing to understand where we've gone, where we are, and where we're going. So these texts from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and the Nectar of Devotion, for a brief review for those who weren't here previously, we started off with a section on Sthayi Bhava, the concept that each individual jiva, each individual living entity, Jiva, Vishnu, Shakti, Tattvas, all have an individual nature. It's inherent in them, just like a seed has a plant within it. And by this processes of bhakti, especially in the material world for the Nitya Baddha Jivas, the process of bhakti awakens what's already dormant in the living entity. And we read about how following in the footsteps of the residents of Vrindavan has a particular flavor. Last week, we read the first part of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu's second chapter, second wave, called Sadhana Bhakti. It means bhakti in practice. And there are two kinds of bhakti in practice. Vaidhi Bhakti, which means following the rules and regulations, actually being inspired and conducting your life simply according to the rules and regulations of the Shastras. And then there's the other practice, which is called Raganuga Bhakti, still in practice, but motivated more by a tendency and an inspiration of affection and relationship with the Supreme Lord, Krishna. So let us enter into the texts now. At the end of that section, in the chapter on bhakti and practice, there are two sections. The first part is Vaidhi Bhakti, and the second part is Raganuga Bhakti. So this is the second part of that second chapter. It's the 16th chapter in Srila Prabhupada's Nectar of Devotion, called Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. Srila Rupa Goswami has defined Raganuga Bhakti as spontaneous attraction for something while completely absorbed in thoughts of it, with an intense desire of love. Devotional service executed with such feelings of spontaneous love is called Raganuga Bhakti. Devotional service under the heading of Raganuga can be further divided into two categories. One category is called sensual attraction, and the other is called relationship. Now, note, I've put a note here because I know what's coming down below from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu translations itself from the verses. Sensual activities is called Kama Rupa Bhakti, Kama Rupa Raga Bhakti. It's a conjugal feeling toward the Lord, sensual attraction. And the other category of Raganuga is called relationships, Sambandha Rupa. Just to cover that. And to explain the two categories, the attraction of the gopis for Krishna and the affection of the members of the Yadu dynasty are both accepted as spontaneous, or Raganuga. The attraction of Kamsa to Krishna in fear and the attraction of Shishupal in envy are not accepted as devotional service, however, because their attitudes are not favorable. Devotional service should be executed only in a favorable frame of mind. Therefore, according to Srila Rupa Goswami, such attractions are not considered to be in devotional service. Again, he analyzes the affection of the Yadus. If it is on the platform of friendship, then it is spontaneous love. But if it is on the platform of regulative principles, then it is not. Only when affection comes to the platform of spontaneous love is it counted in the category of pure devotional service. Oh, Samapriya, we have another reader to take over from there. You have to unmute.
Yeah, thank you. Hare Krishna. Nice to see everyone. Nice to see you, Bahutra. We missed your
Yes,
association.
Acharya,
Hare-
Bhusha,
Yeah, and
Sesha.
Acharya ji. Thought you forgot all about us. Haribo. Please
No,
start
I
to.
finally got a day off from
Oh,
from the
oh,
Pujoy
nice.
work.
Yeah, you're a busy,
I
busy
see.
man.
Good for you. Nice you do that service for Krishna.
No, but I missed this more.
That's good. Acharya ji, would you like to read for us first?
Yes, thank you. This extreme desire to serve the Lord is manifest in the transcendental land of Vraja, and it is specifically manifested among the gopis. The gopis' love for Krishna is so elevated that for our understanding, it is sometimes explained as being lusty desire. The author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kaviraj Krishnadas, has explained the distinction between lusty desire and the service attitude in this statement. Lusty desire refers to the desire to gratify one's personal senses, and transcendental desire refers to the desire for serving the senses of the Lord. In the material world, there is no such thing as a lover's wanting to please the senses of his beloved. Actually, in the material world, everyone wants mainly to gratify his own personal senses. The gopis, however, wanted nothing at all but to gratify the senses of the Lord, and there is no instance of this in the material world. Therefore, the gopis' ecstatic love for Krishna is sometimes described by scholars as being like the lusty desire of the material world, but actually this should not be taken as a literal fact. It is simply a way of trying to understand the transcendental situation. Great devotees up to the standard of Uddhava are very dear friends of the Lord, and they desire to follow in the footsteps of the gopis. So the gopis' love for Krishna is certainly not material lusty desire. Otherwise, how could Uddhava aspire to follow in their footsteps? Another instance is Lord Chaitanya himself. After accepting the sannyas order of life, he was very, very strict about avoiding association with women, but still he taught that there is no better method of worshiping Krishna than that conceived by the gopis. Thus, the gopis' method of worshiping the Lord, as if impelled by lusty desire, was praised very highly even by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This very fact means that although the attraction of the gopis for Krishna appears to be lusty, it is not in the least bit material.
So give us some purport on that.
I could just echo the 2 points here: the distinction between lusty desire and material lust, and the appearance of lust in the gopis. That Prabhupada says it's just to help us understand it. We shouldn't think of the activities of the gopis as the same or similar in quality to material lusty desires. And actually, Prabhupada says that there's no example of selflessness in the material world. Even there's relative, selflessness. We talk about the mother for the child or the lover for the beloved. And there's some degree of it, but ultimately it boils down to sense gratification, personal interest. So that's what Prabhupada is stressing, to understand what the gopis' love is like.
Completely selfless. Wonderful. Thank you. Anyone else want to add to that? Bhushaji.
Well, someone might say, devil's advocate, someone might say, well, you're just going on faith because we don't have an example in this material world of anyone being selfless about their love. So how is one supposed to, you're just going on faith, that's all.
Oh, well, we do have examples. Srila Prabhupada is an example. The self-realized soul is an example. The acharyas are an example. That's the way things are arranged. These self-realized souls come to the material world to be the example of selfless love. Other than that, you're right, there is no example as far as. Pati unmute. There he is.
Their examples and their analysis of Krishna and his pastimes and their commentaries on true love, like this book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it's a whole treatise on the science of love and the science of feelings in the heart and developing those feelings. Anyone who studies these can understand that it's obviously not human. It's not material. It takes some spirit, a devil's advocate, a person who has no faith at all, who just wants to argue. You'll never influence them. But if someone approaches with a open heart and inquiring, is this possible heart, then they're coming in contact with that, following the different processes, as I was just saying, and as we read the last few weeks. This is natural in every living entity. It's just covered by the false ego of so many different layers. So if someone comes in contact with it and actually approaches it properly, then they'll start to understand it, appreciate it, and ultimately taste it for themselves.
The proof is in the tasting.
Yes, yes, beautiful.
Prabhupada said submissive oral reception. We're giving our submissive oral reception to so many mundane topics in the material world that we take as truth. But if we hear from the self-realized soul, that's worthy of submissive oral reception. And then we can make some progress to understand love. Okay. All right. Shall we go on?
Sure.
Hetty?
I think Tucker Murari probably has to
Yeah,
leave. So
yeah,
maybe.
I was going to call. I was going
Okay,
to ask.
figured.
We had the same thought. Thakur, would you like to read? Nice to hear. How do you
Yes,
do?
sir.
Please. Sorry, I have to leave you as usual. But
Yes.
let me and spend my time wisely. So unless one is fully situated in the transcendental position, the relationship of the gopis with Krishna is very difficult to understand. But because it appears to be just like ordinary dealings of young boys and girls, it is sometimes misinterpreted to be like the ordinary sex of this material world. Unfortunately, persons who cannot understand the transcendental nature of love affairs of the gopis and Krishna take it for granted that Krishna's love affairs with the gopis are mundane transactions, and therefore they sometimes indulge in painting licentious pictures in some modernistic style. On the other hand, the lusty desire of Kubja is described by learned scholars as being almost lusty desire. Kubja was a hunchbacked woman who also wanted Krishna with a great ecstatic love. But her desire for Krishna was almost mundane, and so her love cannot be compared to the love of the gopis. A loving affection for Krishna is called Kama Praya, or almost like the gopis' love for Krishna.
Okay, so why? I want to ask you a question. Why?
Give me a second, please.
What? What did you say?
He said, give me a second, and he muted himself.
Okay. Because I was. Why is it considered mundane? What are the feelings of?
Sorry, I had to go get some noise quieted down. So
Okay.
you were asking a question there?
So I was going to ask you, why is this considered to be mundane? What was the basic principle of Kubja's love for Krishna?
Okay, so I understand that Kubja was in the Lord Rama's
Hunchback.
Ramachandra's pastime. Supernaka, she fell in love with Lord Ram. So if I'm correct, is that she came over from that pastime, yes. And
I didn't know that.
Are their desire fulfilled? Yes. So yes.
So, but her love, what was it about her love that was mundane? Can you say?
Yes, in the sense that it could not be on the level of the gopis based on her attraction for Krishna and in terms of being lost in the material world, in terms of her position at the point in time.
Right. So it was not selfless love. She was interested in her own fulfillment
Yes.
of her selfish desires, not completely wanting to please Krishna.
Right,
It's
because she
hard.
wanted, yes, because she wanted him to come, come visit her same time. And he said, well, no, I have to wait. And then when he went there, she didn't want him to leave too. And, it's just how
That's
nice it's. So, yes. So, yeah. So it's
that's
more or less her, her
almost,
satisfaction.
almost like the
Almost.
gopis, but
Right,
still
yes, yes,
selfless.
yes.
Bahusha has something to add.
Oh,
Thank you,
well,
Thakur.
Howdy, howdy.
also, she snatched Krishna's dhoti in public.
Okay.
Haribol. Jai.
Wow.
You should grab the right one.
She grabbed the right one. Okay, she snatched his. Okay, we were talking about how the gopis have sacrificed everything for Krishna, their reputation, their everything. So snatching his dhoti, I guess you could say.
Maybe what we should do, I think it would be a good idea. Bhushra maybe can read this. We'll go to the last verse of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, because this is almost like a separate category. Srila Prabhupada put it in that one paragraph at the end of his section. Bhushra, read this verse and the purport, and this is where he's commenting on this, and that way we can keep it in this
That's
package.
fine.
But the wise agree that the only attraction to Krishna seen in Kubja is essentially due to kama only. Jiva Goswami. That Kubja had a prominence of kama is evident in her not showing the actions of the pure prem of the gopis. The pure prem is illustrated in the following verse. Quote, "Oh, dearly beloved, your lotus feet are so soft that we place them gently on our breast, fearing that your feet will be hurt. Our life rests only in you. Our minds, therefore, are filled with anxiety that your tender feet might be wounded by pebbles as you roam about on the forest path." Kubja, on the other hand, exhibits only lusty actions, now endowed with, if you can make it go up.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to have to put my thing down. It actually doesn't go. My page doesn't go down. Does it? Can you see it?
I gotta figure out where I was. Now endowed with beauty, character, and generosity, Trivakra began to feel desires for Lord Keshava. Taking hold of the end of his upper cloth, she smiled. However, she is said to have rati to a small degree because the object of her attraction was Krishna.
So how does that fit into what you were saying before? That's the actual verse, the same thing you were commenting on. Jiva Goswami's using that verse to reveal her lusty desires.
So at first it might appear mundane, but the thing is, because the person involved was not a mundane man, but because it was Krishna, the link was created. It was manifesting in a pure way, not totally pure, but still it was in the right direction. And because of that, the personality involved, which was Krishna, therefore is that there was a small amount of pure love there.
So you can see the levels of advancement, the different gradual process, the levels. Acharyaji, did you want to say something?
Yeah, a little bit. This analysis about Kubja is interesting, and Jiva Goswami, not Jiva, Srila Rupa Goswami also analyzes her, and I think he also mentions the Aborigine girls, the wanton Aborigine girls, and he says that in the relationship of the Nayaka and
Naika.
Nayika, that if the Nayika is too, I don't remember, but it's like too gross or too coarse
Overbearing.
in her behavior, in her lusty behavior, then that sort of disrupts the purity of it.
Oh.
And he also mentions if the Nayika also has other partners besides the main hero, that also disrupts the purity of the relationship. So of course the root of it is that she has a little me, my enjoyment. That's the root of it, but he analyzes those other things as also interfering with the
Hmm.
purity or the refinement of the relationship.
So it
If you're
depends
too
upon,
gross, if you're like too gross in your lusty behavior.
right.
The gopis were mad after Krishna, but their behavior was also, even when it was mad, it was actually very refined
Yeah,
and expert and properly expressed.
based on knowledge. Hmm. Yes, Bahusha. Thank you,
But
Acharya.
but by her association, if he gets the chance, which of course she eventually will, association with other gopis or manjaris, then she'll be educated more about how to act in relationship to guiding her love in such a way that it'll be proper.
When
So
did
the
she get the association of the Manjaris?
She
I
didn't.
don't,
well,
They
I'm
didn't.
saying if and where, if and when.
if
Yeah.
maybe.
Now this was a point that Acharya brought up a few days ago, and somebody yesterday commented on it. He was asking about where does the education, how does that go about? So if you look in Brahma Samhita, text number, of course, chapter 5, text 37, they have the 64 different arts. I won't read them all, but it gives you an idea just about how the art of playing on musical instruments, well, you can always expand on that. The art of dancing, you can always improve on that. And then it'll be like dancing in certain moods at certain times according to the raga or the rasa. So the thing is, the education would be unlimited on each one of those. So if you devotees get a chance, go to Brahma Samhita, text number 37, and then you can expand upon it in your own mind, in your own research about all those 64 different arts, how they can be expanded unlimitedly, which means unlimited education.
Oh, good. Makes
I I
sense.
was at, I was actually making that point in a
In the forum post.
in the forum that because when we were discussing, I missed some classes, but the last class I was in, we were talking also the different activities of the Nayaka and Nayika, and one of them is to educate.
Mhm.
And my comment was that Kubja didn't really have that opportunity for that education, therefore she couldn't refine her love to the
Oh,
point of the gopis.
right. I wonder if she would have had association with the queens at all.
No, she was
How?
in Mathura.
She was in
Before she met Krishna,
oh,
when he was first
yeah.
entering Mathura.
Right.
But
That's
it's not to denigrate Kubja either.
Right.
She also had pure, in one sense, pure ecstatic love for Krishna, but it was just not on the level of the gopis.
Nice. Nice. That's the
that's a
point
good
being
way.
made.
That's a
Right.
good point. Very good. I wonder if she's in it's an eternal rasa with Krishna, because all of these pastimes come from something that is eternal. So I wonder if that is eternal as well. Pati, would you know?
I don't know if she's Supernaka previously,
That
then
yeah,
could be.
she has a rasa with Krishna.
Manvantara has her hand up.
Yes, Manvatara.
Hey, Hare Krishna.
Hare
So
Krishna.
so this thing with Kubja and then the definition of Stahibhav regarding the various modes of service to Krishna, and with the conjugal relationship of service especially, it describes the different moods being almost unlimited and takes on the taste or the flavor depending on the person's individual expression. So when we evaluate Kubja, for example, and say she's like unrefined or uneducated or um, is okay in comparison to the gopis. I'm not convinced that those kind of comparison exists in the spiritual world. Krishna certainly is not biased against the gopis or Kubja, for example. I mean, Krishna worships the trees and the shrubs and the rivers in Vrindavan. I mean, I don't think he has those discriminatory type of um, behavior towards any particular living entity.
We
And-
read previous.
And I'm not saying that those typology that was just used was disregarding Kubja. I'm not saying that. I'm just trying to
No,
explain.
to agree with your point. When Ramananda Rai was describing, we read previously, when he was describing to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu the different ways to reciprocate, especially the 5 different rasas. He was saying, although they're all perfect, and each devotee in each one of those rasas has a perfect relationship with Krishna, from an objective point of view, we can see that some are more full than others. And he gave the example of the different elements, the 8 elements of material nature, especially the 5 gross elements, and how the qualities of one are within the next, and within the next, and within the next, and then finally in earth, all the qualities of all the elements are within that final one, just like all the qualities of Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya are there in the Madhurya rasa. So you're right in one sense that everybody has an individual pure relationship with Krishna eternally in their particular sthayi bhava. But from the objective point of view, which is how to analyze, if you want to put it that way, love, then the selflessness of the gopis is considered the topmost because they're
So-
completely selfless.
Right.
Whereas Kubja had a little bit of a personal motive. It wasn't all for Krishna.
You know, and that verse 4:11 in the
Mhm.
Bhagavad Gita, Yeyatam Mampapadante, as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So it's very reciprocal between Krishna and the living entity. It's reciprocal. So, and it doesn't mean that we can stay. In our Sai Baba is there. Our eternal relationship with Krishna is there. But to the extent that we are developed so that we can act in that way, that has to, that yeyatam mampapadante, that there's a process to surrender to that. It's a process. And therefore Krishna will reciprocate like that. Is that okay, Manvatara? Can you see that?
I hear what you're saying, and I agree that the gopis' love is topmost example in all cases. But I'm not sure if my point is being appreciated regarding Kubja's situation in terms of her sthayi bhav and her relationship with Krishna. I mean, Krishna had no single complaint regarding his reciprocation or relationship with Kubja. I don't know why we make it problematic in our studies.
Okay,
I guess
just
is what I'm
hold
saying.
on to that. That's a discussion. Hold on. Let me see what Thakur has to say because he's about to leave. Thakur,
Yeah.
you want to speak?
So if you remember the attitude toward Krishna of the washerman,
Yeah.
Kubja, she used to bring those scented oils for cancer, I think. Yes.
Yes.
And she didn't hesitate in using it for Krishna and Balaram's purpose, while the washerman was very rude, and lost his life. So her attitude, did make some difference there in terms of her, attitude toward him.
Okay. So there's a lot of support for
yeah.
Kubja here. Okay.
Yeah.
Does Pati? Does anyone here?
Let's go back to what Srila Prabhupada says here. He's quoting, her desire for Krishna was almost mundane, and so her love cannot be compared to the love of the gopis. Her loving affection for Krishna is therefore called kama praya, almost like the love of the gopis for Krishna. So it's simply an analysis by acharyas and by people who can see the purity of her motive. Everything comes down to motive. Everything always comes down to motive and desire. And that's the verse is Anyabilasita sunyam Jnana Karmati Anavritam, Anu Kulyena Krishna Anu, Shilanam Bhakti Uchate. And the commentary on that verse, Anu Kulyena Krishnanu Shilanam, means for the pleasure of Krishna. This is a description of pure devotional service. And in the purport, it's describing that the root of the verb si, sila, anu silanam, si, means to act, to do. What is the reason that you act? The root of a verb in any sentence reveals what is going on, what is the action, what is the motive behind the action, what is the desired result of the action. Anu Kulyena Krishna Anu, for the pleasure of Krishna. That's the root of the gopis' desire and reason for action. Kubja, however, wanted to enjoy with Krishna. She wanted her own enjoyment, just like in this material world. When we love someone, we say we love you. Actually, there's a very strong element and motive for my own satisfaction. Even a mother's love for her child, part of it is so she can feel good about herself. It's less, and it's considered the closest selfless love there is in this domain. But the gopis are on a whole other level. And that's why this concept of lust and their being called lusty is so confusing, because it's a perverted reflection of what's going on in the material world.
Okay, I have a question there also. Prabhupada often has said, make Krishna your husband, make Krishna your child, Krishna is your best friend, because we're hankering for this kind of relationship in the material world. So there is some self-motivation to fulfill the desire of the soul to have that loving relationship with Krishna, because nothing else will fill it. So would you consider that being selfless? What Manvantar is talking about with Kubja, that is a very big topic, because it's a little confusing. And I've gone through that myself, wondering what she was spontaneously attracted to him. But I guess that means I don't really know.
Once again, because it's confusing, let's go over it and go over these two verses that were included in the purport that Bhushur just read.
Oh, goodbye, Thakur.
Haribol, Thakur. Why don't we have somebody read these two verses, Sama? Because both of them reveal the nature of the action when somebody's performing.
Okay. Faye, you want to read?
Start with this, oh dearly beloved.
Oh dearly beloved, your lotus feet are so soft that we place them gently on our breast, fearing that your feet will be hurt. Our life rests only in you. Our minds, therefore, are filled with anxiety that your tender feet might be wounded by pebbles as you roam about on the forest path. Kubja, on the other hand, exhibits only lusty actions. Quote, now endowed with beauty, character, and generosity, Trivakra began to feel lusty desires for Lord Keshava. Taking hold of the end of his upper cloth, she smiled.
So why don't you give your little, give a little explanation of that, Faye? The difference between the two.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Kubja's story does show some remarkable transformations in it. Her curved spine, for example, becomes straightened out. That's a big change. And that's only because of Krishna's mercy. But Kubja has one tainted element in there, and that is she had a material desire for something. And the gopis had no desire for anything other than Krishna. They had no alternative motive. So I see her as being elevated in the sense that she was able to touch Krishna. She was able to be healed, and the curved spine was straightened out. She had her life transformed in that way, but she was not as perfect as the dear, beautiful gopis because they were fully enamored with everything about Krishna and only wanted to please him. They wanted nothing for themselves.
Thank you. That's a perfect explanation.
Okay, I think we've covered
Manvachara,
this.
how you what, Patti?
I think we've covered this topic enough so that we have to keep
Let's-
going just for
Okay,
time
let's go
constraint.
let's go on and just we'll just go on. Hopefully it'll solve itself one time. Manvachara, why don't you read? Thank you, Faye.
269. Some persons called Bhadi Bhakti, the path of rules, Marya Marga, since it is bound by strong limitation of the rules mentioned in the scriptures. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. If the rules spoken in the scriptures are prominent in one's devotional process, that immediately becomes the cause for performing bhakti. This Vaidhi bhakti, filled with rules, is called Maryada Marga by some people.
Okay, so this is the transition in the chapter between the Vaidhi Bhakti section and now the Raganuga. You can continue, Manvantara.
Okay, Bhakti Rasa Mr. Sindhu. Raguna Bhakti is defined as that bhakti which follows after the Ragatmika Bhakti found distinctively in the inhabitants of Raj. In order to define Raganuga Bhakti, first Ragatmika Bhakti should be discussed. Raga is defined as spontaneous, deep thirst for the object of love. Bhakti that is impelled exclusively by such a thirst is called Ragatmika Bhakti. Visvanatha Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. Spontaneous absorption in one's object of love is called raga. The word avistata, absorption, is the same as its cause. Thus, it infers the love-filled thirst that gives rise to the absorption. That thirst is called raga. Tanmayi means composed only of that, from the definition tat pariktra vachane mayat. The word mayi means composed of. Thus, the complete meaning of the sentence is that love-filled thirst or actions inspired by it, such as stringing garlands for Krishna, which generates complete absorption in the object of love, is called Ragatmika Bhakti. There is no fault in this raga, even though it may not conform to expected rules.
Okay. Before we go on to analyze this, I just want to say to you, Manvantara, that this is a process, and you don't have to understand everything right this moment. You know what I mean? I mean, this is that whole subject matter of Kubja. I think it takes some, time to fully digest it and understand it. So I don't worry about Kubja. She's doing all right, but she's fine. But if you want to understand it further, just don't worry. It will come. I have faith in that. Is that all right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so let's go back to what we just read. Would you like to say something about it? Patti, you want to put up the words again?
No, if you're asking me, no. I mean, I get lost in the definition. I have to go through it very slowly. So
Oh,
thank you.
Anybody
Okay.
else want to expand on this?
Well, this last sentence, bhakti that is impelled exclusively by such a thirst, is called Ragatmika Bhakti. So since we are talking about kubja and it's an important section, what would be the difference? How could you use this? That's my question to you, Patti, or anyone who wants to answer it. How could we use this as a proof or a definition in a comparison between the love of kubja and the love of the gopis? That one section.
I would rather not go there because
you
that's
wanna
not the path. We've already been there and
Okay. we have
discussed
to go
that
on.
just for a second. Let's go back and put this. I'm kind of kicking myself now for going back down because I just went to the end of the analysis to
Don't kick
get the
yourself.
comparison of kubja. We have to get back to the foundation to define Raganuga Bhakti. What does Raganuga Bhakti mean? First, Ragatmika Bhakti should be discussed. Anuga means to follow. So Raganuga Bhakti means to follow those who have Ragatmika Bhakti. Raga is defined, so he's saying in order to define Raganuga Bhakti, first Ragatmika Bhakti should be discussed. In other words, you have to understand Ragatmika Bhakti before you can understand how to follow it and how to imbibe it, how to understand it, how to appreciate it. So in order to define Raganuga Bhakti, first Ragatmika Bhakti should be understood. Then Raga is defined as spontaneous deep thirst for the object of love. Bhakti that is impelled exclusively by that thirst is called Ragatmika Bhakti. This is it's so sublime, the concepts going on in these purports. Spontaneous absorption. Spontaneous absorption means one's object of love it's natural. It's just there. It's called raga. But the word avistata, absorption, is the same as its cause. In other words, someone who's absorbed is naturally the same as its cause. Their absorption and their spontaneous attraction are one. That's why they're absorbed. That thirst and love, that thirst is called raga. Tanmayi means composed of only that, from the definition, and this is from the Panini, it's grammatical. Thus, the complete meaning of the sentence is that love thirst, or actions inspired by it, such as stringing garlands, generated completely absorption in the object of love, is called Ragatmika Bhakti. It's a beautiful description of how, even though they're just making garlands, the person who's a Ragatmika Bhakta is so absorbed in love for Krishna. That's what impels the reason for doing it, making the garland. It's simply for Krishna's pleasure. There's nothing else involved in that mentality while she's doing the action.
Wow, that's beautiful. And we can do that even now.
Yes,
we
that's
make
the
garlands.
practice.
Yeah.
The practice, Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, means to try and do everything. What is it? Yat karoshi yadasnasi, yat jahosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kante, yat tad karusva madarpanam. Everything you do, all the activities should be done as an offering to me. And there's different levels of that offering.
Yeah, it's quite amazing that we could be doing the same thing. Two people can be doing the same thing, and one of them is deeply absorbed in thinking of Krishna making that garland. The other one's looking at the time and making the garland real quick. So no, it's the mentality of that you have during the service. Yes, Acharya.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. And what I was going to say is that it's the mentality, but it's also the action, because that's what that verse is saying, that the cause and the effect are both Ragatmika
Nice.
Bhakti.
Good point.
So
It'll be expanded upon
the
too.
love in the heart, yeah, but that's also equally expressed by the actions. That's
In other
also
words,
equally
do
part of
something for Krishna that
Yes.
he wants you to do. Not, oh, I'll just bake something or do this or make something for Krishna. But if he doesn't want it, if you know what Krishna wants, it's to find out, is another level. You find out what you want to do for
Right.
Krishna, what he wants you to do for him.
Yeah. Or the
that-
idea that, oh, I love Krishna in my heart, but I have to do anything. So if you actually have that, Ragatmika Bhakti is the love in the heart, and also the expression of that in actions is also equally part of Ragatmika Bhakti.
Oh, that's
So I
beautiful.
thought that was to me, that's the part that struck me in the definition.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you.
Now,
Beautiful.
this next part, again, these are just almost like that example of the map again. If there are notable places along the map that are sometimes listed, it's not that you go into each place and look at it and describe it and write a whole book on it, but it just tells you what it is as you're looking at the map going along. So this next section takes some introspection into each person's heart. There's no higher or lower, but it describes what goes on in the Ragatmika Bhakti realm.
Okay, Faye, you want to read? You just read a little. Why don't you read some more?
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. There are two types of Ragatmika Bhakti, that impelled by conjugal feelings, Kama Rupa, and that impelled by other relationships, Sambandha Rupa. Jiva Goswami's commentary. Kama Rupa means that bhakti, which is typified or impelled by conjugal feelings, kama, a particular type of thirst. Sambandha Rupa means that bhakti undertaken or impelled by thirst caused by relationship. Though Kama Rupa Bhakti is a type of relationship, it is labeled separately since it is the chief relationship. It is similar to saying everyone is coming and the king is also coming. Though the word everyone includes the king, special mention is made of the king because of his importance.
Oof,
Mm.
that's very wonderful. You want to describe some of that, Faye? Can you?
I'm afraid, Mataji, that I'm not well schooled enough to see
Okay.
that. I'm just saying or seeing myself that there's so many fine delineations in here, and the meanings are finer and finer and finer. I look at the last sentence in that little purport, and I notice that sometimes I'm not understanding, perhaps because it's grammar, and I don't understand the grammar, nor do I understand the meaning of the words. So I don't think I'm qualified to answer anything about it.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, Charya, you wrote that it was terrific, and I agree with you. Please tell us why it's terrific.
I just love the everyone is coming and the king is coming. I
So
thought
what does that
that-
mean? What does that mean in relation to
It
Ragatmika
mean-
Bhakti?
well, just like it said that, Kamarupa, or like the gopis conjugal relationship, is also a relationship. But because it's the chief one, it's separated out for separate discussion. Just like when everyone is coming, everyone includes the king,
Yeah,
but
good.
everyone's coming and the king is coming because the king is the most important. You mention him separately.
Excellent understanding. Perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I just thought that was a really terrific example given.
yeah, it's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Acharya.
Thank you.
Boiling it down, just a basic concept again now. So there's Ragatmika Bhakti has two different divisions, conjugal love and the other relationships. The Ragatmika Bhaktas, Mother Yasoda, Nanda Maharaj, all the cowherd boys, those are all, that's all, it's all Ragatmika, but it's just not Kamarupa. It's not for conjugal relationship, but it's still, as we were reading up to, for those who have been reading with us, the 10th canto, all the descriptions of the loving relationships between everyone and Krishna as he grew up are all delineated and appreciated, and back to Manvantara's point, There's no lesser or higher. It's love. But in this example, which distinguishes, as Acharya just said so nicely, it's all relationship, but this one's the king, and therefore it gets a special mention. That's all.
Yes. Okay, well, that's a lot. Okay. So, okay, Acharya, why don't you continue reading? 280.
Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 12283. Definition of Kama Rupa Ragatmaka Bhakti. That type of bhakti with full absorption in the beloved is called Kama Rupa Bhakti, which produces an intrinsic thirst for a conjugal relationship with the Lord in the Atma. It is called bhakti because in that condition there is only eagerness for giving pleasure to Krishna. Jiva Goswami's commentary. Kama should be described as a particular type of prema with full spontaneous absorption in the beloved object, which was already mentioned in the definition of Ragatmaka Bhakti. This verse begins to describe Kama Rupa Ragatmaka Bhakti. That type of bhakti whose very form is prema, not material lust, is called Kama Rupa in this verse and no other type, and which produces a thirst for conjugal enjoyment with the Lord as one's essential nature. What is the cause for this kama being prema? In that Kama Rupa Bhakti, there is only an intense zeal for the happiness of Krishna. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. Kama should be described as a particular type of prema with full spontaneous absorption in the beloved object. This has already been mentioned in the definition of Ragatmaka Bhakti. That which is famous as prema is called Kama Rupa in this verse. Other varieties are excluded. This verse covers only the characteristics of Kama Rupa. What is its effect? The thirst for conjugal enjoyment famous as kama or lust is actually a thirst composed of prema alone, with no trace of material lust. And this thirst becomes one's essential nature. The verse then explains the reason that this kama is equated with prema, because in this thirst for enjoyment, there is complete eagerness of the gopis of Vraja only for pleasing Krishna and not a thirst for their personal enjoyment.
Wow, so beautiful. I have a question here. I'm not a Sanskrit scholar by any means, but this Ragatmika, and it said the Atma, it says something about the Atma. With that Atma, the word Atma, is that present in Ragatmika? Because Ragatmika, it's like the natural situation of this is love in the soul. The love in the soul is completely selfless for Krishna. But does that have something to do with it?
I don't know enough Sanskrit to say, but that makes sense that Ragatmika means Raga Atmika, that yourself, your whole
Yeah,
very
the
self and your
internal.
soul this is what you are, this is what you're absorbed in. I think that makes sense.
Pati, do you know something about
No,
that?
but I agree with Acharya's
Okay.
spontaneous understanding of it.
there's-
It makes sense.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Anyone else want to comment on that we just read?
I'll throw out one
Right.
other
Yeah,
quick
please.
comment. That could you go back to the beginning of where I was reading?
Sure.
Good.
Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Down a little bit. If I could find what I'm thinking of. Oh, anyway, I can't find exactly where it said, but it's saying how this Ragatmaka Bhakti is bhakti. And it's bhakti because it's characterized by being exclusively for Krishna without any selfish desire.
Mm.
So that's even going back to the very beginning of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, definition of bhakti, the Anyabhilashita Shunyam. But here you say that it's that same definition, but it's refined to such a intense degree, but it's still applicable even in this very elevated stage. So I thought that was interesting.
That is interesting. It's beautiful. Nice connection.
Yes. Okay. Shall we go on? Bahushara, you want to continue? Thank you, Acharyaji.
This very famous Kamarupa Bhakti appears with brilliance in the women of Raj. They have a particular type of praying which has a special sweetness. It is called Kama by the wise because it is the cause of various amorous actions. The author gives an example of this Kamarupa Bhakti. Its famous nature is illustrated in the following verse, which was spoken by the gopis when Krishna left them in the midst of the Ras Leela. Quote, "O dearly beloved, your lotus feet are so soft that we place them gently on our breasts, fearing that your feet will be hurt. Our life rests only in you. Our minds, therefore, are filled with anxiety that your tender feet may be wounded by pebbles as you roam about on the forest path," unquote. But in such examples, the word Kamarupa actually should be Kamatmika, completely filled with thirst. The phrase Kamarupa expresses only bhakti composed of conjugal actions and not the conjugal emotions. Whereas the phrase Kamatmika, bhakti completely inundated with conjugal feelings, indicate bhakti endowed with conjugal feelings as well as actions. It would not be possible for that thirst composed only of actions to cause complete transformation into prey. However, even though this Kamarupa is composed of action, this action will produce a transformation because of the action is the action of the mind. In the mind, the person thinks, quote, "Krishna will attain happiness from me," unquote. Thus, the transformation into prema in the Atma will take place since both body and mind are involved. Wow, that is loaded.
What? So how? How is it loaded? That there was a reference to in the Atma again. I keep on seeing that.
Right,
in the,
Raga, Mika.
Kamatmika.
Well, it was talking, they mentioned there about the emotions. Where was it? Let's go down a little bit, Dhruva Maharaj, please. The feelings as well as actions. So the thing is that that's one thing that's very wonderful about the gopis' relationship, because it's not only thinking things in their own minds, they really get into action with Krishna in so many different ways, as is described through the Goswami's literature. So that's nice that there's making the distinction between the two. In other words, is that conjugal actions and then also of the mind. So,
Wait, before we hear from Mamatar, is there a point at which action and mind are one on a spiritual level?
you would think that they were one, because any limb, just like any Anganiya Sahasa Kalendra Vrittimanti, any limb or any part of the body can act as any other part. So therefore, it would have to be as one, like you're saying.
Pati, what do you think?
This is very interesting. Jiva Goswami, I think, is that whose commentary we're reading here, or is it Viswanath? This is Jiva Goswami, and they love to analyze grammar. So what he's doing is he's writing a commentary on Rupa Goswami's book, and Rupa Goswami is talking about Kamarupa, and he's used those words. Jiva Goswami is almost subtly correcting it or expanding on it, saying here the phrase Kamarupa expresses only bhakti composed of conjugal action and not the conjugal emotions. Whereas the phrase kamatmika bhakti, completely inundated with conjugal feelings, indicates bhakti endowed with conjugal
because they
feelings
make it your
as well
own.
as actions. So he's kind of expanding and bringing it out that it's included in the meaning that Rupa Goswami put. He's not really correcting him. He's expanding on it, saying that it's not only their actions, but their very essence of wanting to
Yeah.
please Krishna through conjugal enjoyment for him is their motive.
Wow,
Mm.
beautiful. Mama Tara?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, did that Mataji from Malaysia get an opportunity to?
I don't think she's
not
on
here today.
tonight.
Oh, okay. So
I have a list here and
okay, I'm sorry. I just
Fine.
started reflecting on her for some reason.
No,
So
go ahead.
this verse that was read, the commentary, Jiva Goswami's commentary, reminded me, and I think it was planted in my head when you, Dhruva Maharaj, was talking about the various elements and the material nature. These definitions, it sounds like a type of meditation that's growing and growing to the point where there's complete absorption in Krishna using like literally all the senses. Like when we read in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, about getting into a certain type of, not sadhana, but a certain type of meditation where you're just completely focused on Krishna with every fabric of your senses, merged into Krishna. It sounds like the definitions are percolating into that type of a
Good.
situation.
That sounds right, doesn't it,
Sure.
Patty?
Very
That
nice.
sounds good. That sounds like Ragatmika Bhakti, Kamatmika. These are activities that are being engaged in fully by the soul completely. There's no barrier. That's very important for us to understand that. There's no barrier.
There's also a unique feature of this particular type of love. We read about it in all the Goswami's books because Lord Chaitanya is emphasizing that even in all the Vaikuntha planets, there's no relationship that's as sweet as this place in Braj. Let's read this verse one more time before we go on, because this is so sweet. The very famous Kama Rupa Bhakti appears with brilliance. This very famous Kama Rupa Bhakti appears with brilliance in the women of Braj. They have a particular type of prema which has a special sweetness. That's what's famous. That's what Lord Chaitanya's whole movement is about. It's got a flavor that nowhere else, anywhere in all three worlds of this material jagat, all the Vaikunthas, Dwarka, Mathura, you go to Vrindavan, you go to that forest, the women there have a special flavor of love. So let's go on with the
Wow.
next section.
Okay. 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 Faye, you want to read?
Thank you, Mataji. Thus, in the Tantra, it is said, the Kama Rupa Bhakti of the gopis has become famous simply as prema. And because it is a form of exalted prema, persons such as Uddhava, dear to the Lord, desire that aspect of it. Jiva Goswami's commentary. The word iti indicates the reason why Kama Rupa Bhakti is well known as prema. Uddhava, by expressing his desire in the following verse, makes that Kama Rupa Bhakti famous as prema. Quote, among all persons on earth, these cowherd women alone have actually perfected their embodied lives, for they have achieved the perfection of unalloyed love for Lord Govinda. Their pure love is hankered after by those who fear material existence, by great sages, and by ourselves as well. For one who has tasted the narrations of the infinite Lord, what is the use of taking birth as a high-class Brahmana, or even as Lord Brahma himself?
Is this the Brahmins speaking that? The wives of the
Oh, no,
Brahmins
this
of
is
Vrindavan?
Uddhava speaking.
No, I mean the quote.
Yeah, it's Uddhava speaking.
I see.
Yeah, whatever, by expressing his desire.
What happened was that this is beautiful. If you remember, Uddhava, once Krishna had gone to Mathura. Now, Mathura is just outside of Braj. It's right across the river. So it's the next level of relationship. And amongst all of them, we read this in Brihat Bhagavatamrita, amongst all the devotees outside of Braj, Uddhava is the most dear to Krishna. So there's a book called Uddhava Sandesh, where Rupa Goswami writes about Krishna giving Uddhava instructions to go to Braj and deliver a message to the gopis once he's left. So when Uddhava goes to Vrindavan, he's the topmost devotee outside of Vrindavan. When he goes to Vrindavan and sees the love of the residents of Vrindavan, and especially when he took the gopis aside to a Kadamba forest and started to explain to them Krishna's intimate missing and feelings of separation for them, he spoke this verse. Somebody read that again so that we can appreciate it.
Faye,
Mama, who should read it?
Faye, she was reading.
Quote, among all persons on earth, these cowherd women alone have actually perfected their embodied lives, for they have achieved the perfection of unalloyed love for Lord Govinda. Their pure love is hankered after by those who fear material existence, by great sages, and by ourselves as well. For one who has tasted the narrations of the infinite Lord, what is the use of taking birth as a high-class Brahmana, or even as Lord Brahma himself, unquote.
Anybody else have a comment on this topic, on this verse by Uddhava? Acharya?
Acharya,
Thanks. I feel like I'm talking too much today. Maybe
you're not
Not at all.
talking.
maybe I'm making up for all those
You're making
days I
up. I
missed.
was just
Yeah,
going to
exactly.
say,
Good.
making up.
I think it's really significant that Uddhava, like you said, the topmost devotee outside of Vrindavan, and he's appreciating the love of the gopis so much as the highest thing, but at the same time, he's not thinking or saying that, oh, I have to give up, my Sakya relationship with Krishna, my friendship with Krishna, and become that. He's remaining as Krishna's friend,
Yeah,
but he's still appreciating and worshiping
good
the
point.
gopis.
That's a perfect segue to this next paragraph. Why don't we go
Oh,
on?
how
Oh,
fortunate.
Because it's a perfect.
How about Bahusha? He wanted to say something.
Oh,
Okay, Bahusha, hold that thought.
no, go ahead,
I-
Bhusha. That's fine. Let's stay with
I
the.
was-
Well, because Uddhava is so much appreciates the the gopis' feelings of love, he actually takes a form of grass in Vrindavan so they can step on him. That's how much he's just so much appreciates their highest quality of love.
Nice.
Wow,
Sweet.
servant. That's the servant of the servant of the servant, right there. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, Mamditara, why don't you read the next paragraph?
Okay. The word iti.
Hey, Tom.
You know what I'm doing? I'm reading from the big screen. So, okay, pardon me. The word itam indicates prema, similar to their intense prema Ruda Bhava, characterized by emotions by which they identify themselves as conjugal lovers of Govinda. However, it should be understood that he actually did not desire the gopis' particular type of prema, because such a desire would suggest that he is forcing conformity to the goal of kama rupa bhakti on the desire of liberation, bhava biya, the liberated and the devotees. I don't understand any of this. Thus there would no exist,
There would be no
Indeed.
other.
there would be no other sthayi bhavas, such as Sakya or Dasya. Uddhava desired the intensity of their prema, but not their kama rupa bhava,
Oh, good.
which
Okay.
causes the intensity. Thus, when Uddhava says he desires their prema, he does not desire the kama rupa bhava.
So you understand that now? That he desires the love, the intensity of the love, but not their rasa, not their rasa. He's satisfied with his own rasa.
Mm,
But he wants that kind of intensity in his rasa.
right. Okay.
That can be done, and that's what we want, no matter what rasa we have. That's why everyone can hear about the gopis.
That's what's called Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. The whole chapter is on how to practice cultivating that kind of a desire in our own in our own Atma.
Wow, light bulb, very good.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. You understand that?
But
Mamatar?
notice he didn't um let's see, he didn't say anything contrary to other people who are not in that particular.
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
I think you got caught up in the Sanskrit a little bit, Manvantara, but that's exactly what's being pointed out here. However, it should be understood that he actually did not desire the gopis' particular type of prema, because such a desire would suggest that he's forcing conformity to the goal of Kamarupa Bhakti on the desires of liberation, the liberated, and the devotees. In other words, exactly what you just said. He's not deprecating anyone. He's just saying that intensity of their love is perfect.
You get that, Mamatar?
Thank you. That's very good. Thank you very much.
It's exactly what you were saying.
Yes.
Okay,
It's pointed out that he's not saying that. He's not in any way limiting and trying to conform others into their way of life or their mood of love.
Yeah.
That
that's it.
Kama Rupa is their conjugal, but others may. He just wants the intensity. I think that was also.
This is such an important point in our devotional service. We all are individuals. We all can develop deep love for Krishna in the way we can give it to him. That's why we're here. I have a different way of loving than someone else does. We have all of these rules and regulations to develop that spontaneous love of Krishna in our own particular bhav.
Sam, read this sentence.
Which sentence?
Uddhava desired.
Well, no one sees it but you.
Oh, I didn't press the button. Sorry about that.
Uddhava desired the intensity of their prema, but not their kamarupa bhav, which causes the intensity. Thus, when Uddhava says,
that's good. Just that sentence.
Okay.
Go in there. And
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
odd
that's
because they have a particular type of love, and their conjugal element helps cause the intensity. So he's wanting the intensity, but not the kamarupa, which causes the intensity.
okay, well, other things can cause an intensity. That's the point, right?
Yes.
Yeah, other bhav. Okay, let's read the last
No,
part.
that's the last part's about Kubja, and we already read it.
Oh, you really want to stay away from that.
No, we already read it. It's finished. We talked
We
about
can read
it.
it again. I was saving it for Bahushra, who I think read it before.
Oh, okay.
Okay, read it, Bahushra, one more time.
But the wise agree that the attraction to Krishna seen in Kubja is essentially due to kama only.
Oh, bringing us down here. Okay.
Jiva Goswami's commentary that Kubja had a prominence of kama is evident in her not showing the actions of the pure prem of the gopis. The pure prem is illustrated in the following verse, quote, "Oh, dearly beloved, your lotus feet are so soft that we place them gently on our breast, fearing that your feet will be hurt. Our life rests only in you. Our minds, therefore, are filled with anxiety that your tender feet might be wounded by pebbles as you roam about on the forest path." Unquote. Kubja, on the other hand, exhibits only lusty actions. Quote, "Now endowed with beauty, character, and generosity, Trivakra began to feel lusty desires for Lord Krishna. Taking hold of the end of his upper cloth, she smiled." Can you raise it up?
That's hard. Oops. It's hard for me to get my screen
You
up
see
there.
it?
Can't do it.
Okay. Where are we? Let me.
It says that, however, she is said to have rati to a small degree because the object of her retraction was Krishna. So that's the connection right there. Because simply of that to a small degree, when you're comparing it to the gopis' love, but still she's connecting to the right
Yeah,
electricity, the right
she's
connection.
right.
Uh,
She's right.
Who's Krishna?
Someone mentioned before the refinedness. I think it was Acharya talking about the refined. When someone is refined in their love with Krishna in this conjugal mood, it will be a little. It won't be so brazen like that. Yeah, as we see, Kubja is demonstrating. Okay, this has been really variegated and wonderful. Anyone else want to say anything about any of this?
There's one other thing I want to mention. Now, I don't know the source off the top of my head, but I remember I read it. It might be Garga Muni's, the
Garga Samhita?
Garga Samhita. It might be in there, where Sishupal, when he was cursing at Krishna in the assembly, he was saying, "Yes, you killed Kubja." So the thing is that I won't
He
go any
didn't
further.
kill.
Yeah, I won't go any further. But the thing is that she got liberation.
Kubja.
Kubja.
Oh, you meant
No, Shishupal, before he was killed, he made that statement.
Shurpanaka. No, he didn't even kill Shurpanaka. He
No,
didn't
no.
kill Kubja.
No. No, Krishna killed Kubja. I don't want to go
When?
into it. Use your imagination. The thing is that Shishupal accused Krishna of killing Kubja.
Oh, accused her.
So the thing is that being the case, she got liberation. If you're killed by Krishna, generally you get liberation. So in that way, she could achieve perfection.
Yeah,
Read
I know.
between the lines.
Okay, what does it say between the lines? Because I never
I
heard.
won't go there.
You won't go there.
I won't go there.
Oh my goodness. Well, maybe I shouldn't go there either. Even though, read between the lines. Thank you.
Dhruva can explain it later.
Okay.
You'll have to email me. Just to recap, Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. Raganuga means to follow the Ragatmika Bhaktas. The Ragatmika Bhakti is of two types, Kama Rupa and Sambandha Rupa. So then it was describing a little more of those, especially the Kama Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti. And we have one more lesson or one more section from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and Nectar of Devotion that I'll post tomorrow. And that further expands on the different types of relationship in that Kama Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti.
Is it, and that's the last lesson?
no, there's one more in the Brahma Samhita we'll post
Oh,
next
then the
week,
Brahma Samhita.
which describes the parts of the spiritual world where those who practice this type of bhakti go.
Whoa, thank you.
The many departments in Goloka Vrindavan.
Yes, there are. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much, everyone. This was wonderful. I hope to see you on Saturday. All glory to
Happy
Srila
Ram Navami to
Prabhupada.
everybody.
Oh,
Ram
happy
Navami ki,
Ram
Hari Bol.
Navami.
Vanchakalpatruvyascha,
Kripasinduvyavcha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo
Vedo
Namo
Namo
Namaha.
Namaha.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.